Part 19. The Strongest Assassin in the Server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 181. There is no doubt that mythology, no matter what it was before, has formed a climate in Dream World, established a firm foothold, and has a transcendent status in the entire light camp. Yuchen watched from a distance with a complicated expression. He didn't care about this at all before. The major guilds expanding their power and accomplishing certain feats have nothing to do with him. He had previously regarded himself as a solo player, forming an elite group at most to make money by completing dungeons. But now, with the increase in strength and change in mentality, especially after being oppressed by Yun Haitian and Gao Ming again and again in reality, he has grown a lot and no longer wants to be an unknown person who is wantonly teased by people in the upper class. Little guy. Therefore, he also wants to form his own force. But now, with Xinhui in front, if he wants to set up a guild, Sinless will definitely obstruct him in every possible way. Compared to mythology, our military strength is an absolute disadvantage. Ordinary bases cannot stop them at all. If I want to create a guild, I must first find a way to build a high-end base. Yuchen pondered for a moment, then watched for a moment, and then left quietly. Creating a guild cannot be done in a hurry. He teleported back to Bayun City and entered the Tower of Death. Level 25. Yuchen had just entered and was caught in the sea of fire. He felt that he had entered a flaming purgatory. The scorching high temperature caused white smoke to emit from the area. In the center of the flames, stood a red-haired middle-aged man, and around him were 3 large iron cages, each of which contained a lava monster with lava dripping from its body. They howled miserably, beating the iron cage with their lava arms, trying to break out. Finally someone has come to this level. The red-haired man smiled slightly. He was once a hero of the light camp, and he couldn't help but feel happy when he saw the rising star. Controller of Fire, Sid, Lord. Level 25. HP/. Skill. Note, he was once the preacher of the fire god Oz, but lost the power of faith after his death. Nian Qiang, if you defeat me, you can go to the next level. West Germany's eyes narrowed, and he stretched out his palm. In the next moment, a fireball formed in his hand. This is the strength of the fire controller. He can freely control flames. His normal attacks are no longer limited to just hitting with a staff, but he can also throw fireballs with his bare hands. Wait a minute. I came here and I have something else to do. West Germany threw out a series of fireballs with his bare hands. Yuchen dodged one after another and quickly spoke out to stop them. Oh, Sid was stunned. Yuchen explained, Sid, you were once the evangelist of Oz, the god of fire. I admire flames and want to become his believer. Saying that, Yuchen did not forget to summon Xiao Hong, and when West saw Xiao Hong, he could clearly feel the pure power of flames on it, and said in a voiceless voice, Fire Phoenix? Young man, it seems that you and the flame are indeed slightly different. There is a connection, but it's a pity that I'm just a remnant soul now. I've lost the power of faith, and I can't spread the power of faith. It doesn't matter, senior, you must have recruited believers before you sacrificed your life, right? After so many years, I believe that some of them must have been promoted to become evangelists, Yuchen said with a smile, so I came to you because I just wanted to list. Haha, okay. Before that, you need to defeat me first and prove your strength. Sid smiled boldly, and his red hair fluttered like a burning flame. In an instant, countless fireballs carrying scorching waves of air rushed towards Yuchen. Bang bang bang. Yuchen dodged while rushing forward, raised his hand and shot a stun dart, straight towards West Germany. In an instant, he saw West Germany holding his hand empty, and a big flaming hand condensed in front of him. His big hand rushed out, pinched the stun dart, and destroyed both of them. At the same time, the 3 giant lava beasts sprayed flames towards Yuchen and rushed away. Yuchen swept 5 yards to the right like lightning, dodged the flames, and rolled forward. The dagger lightly hit a giant lava beast through the iron cage, and teleported behind West Germany. War cry! Yuchen roared angrily, and strength surged through his body, his strength at 10%. West Germany was shocked. Before he could react, he felt a pain in the back of his head and entered a dizzy state. Dress up. Break the martial arts. Murderous look. Yuchen's strength surged again, and he turned sharply, and the rotating thorn suddenly cut into his back, causing blood to flow. The bleeding of LV6 and the blood flow of LV5 were triggered, causing a large amount of bleeding damage to West Germany's head. At the same time, Yuchen accumulated enough combo points, backstab and finishing blow. Pierce the heart. Dash. As a bloody light shot out from his chest, West Germany's HP plummeted by 1 level. At this time, Sid finally woke up from his dizziness, turned around and released the ring of resistance fire, trying to push Yuchen away. After all, he is a mage, and he is also afraid of assassins getting close. However, the ring of fire hit Yuchen, but it failed to make him move a step. Because Yuchen is now in a dominant state. Powerful attack. Yuchen resisted the damage of the fire ring, gently threw the dagger upwards in his right hand, and held it backward with his left hand. This was the release action of a strong attack. Then, Yuchen waved the dagger, with the red light, and suddenly cut it on West Germany's chest. With a stab sound, West Germany's elegant mage robe was cut open, and then shattered into pieces, falling to the ground. West Germany exposed his muscular upper body. Sid was stunned, and subconsciously looked down, but Yuchen kept attacking, 2 normal attacks, and then the dagger easily cut his throat. Wipe the throat and finishing blow. Killer. Dash. Phew. The blood spurted out like a waterfall, triggering the critical strike effect. The damage overflowed, and West was instantly killed. At the same time, the 3 giant lava beasts have just turned around. Their damage is quite high, but their speed is extremely slow. Just turning around takes several seconds. When West Germany was defeated, they disappeared. Haha, okay, young warrior, your strength has been recognized by me. After the defeat, West Germany's body became weak. Senior, you are being humble. If you were not a remnant soul, even 10 of me would not be your opponent. Yuchen said with a smile. Hey, don't mention the past. In the future, with strong men like you, the light camp will be able to defeat the dark camp. West Germany smiled and said, next, I will start to name my believers one by one. Remember good. Thanks. Yuchen turned on the recording function that came with the game and listened quietly to Elevenda's names one by one. When he mentioned the 30th person, his illusory figure disappeared uncontrollably. These 30 people, who can be read out by him first, should be the ones he is more optimistic about. Maybe some of them will be promoted to become evangelists. Yuchen silently recited each name in his mind. Most of them he didn't recognize. They might be dead. Fortunately, some of them looked familiar. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 182. After defeating Sid, Yuchen was not in a hurry to leave the Death Tower. Since he was here, he might as well break through the 30th floor and open the 4th title slot. He continued to climb up, defeating all the opponents he met one by one, and easily reached the 30th floor. The hero of this floor is a Shadow Hunter, Shadow Black Panther. Shadow Hunter is an advanced profession of hunter, with the ability of invisibility and assassination. In the invisible state, placing some traps can kill people. I saw that Shadow Black Panther suddenly became invisible and placed freezing traps and fire traps on both sides. However, all of this was seen by Yuchen's bloody eyes. He raised his hand and stunned it with a stun dart, and then rushed over and took away most of the blood in one set. Then, Chen opened the martial arts breaking method and prepared for the second wave of strong attack, but saw that Shadow Black Panther suddenly emitted black air all over his body, and turned into a pitch-black leopard, counterattacked, but failed to knock Chen down. He reacted quickly, knowing that Chen had entered the state of dominance, so he stopped attacking and moved to the side, trying to lead Chen to the freezing trap. Chen took advantage of the situation and chased and attacked at the same time, triggering the freezing trap. With a bang, a burst of ice mist emerged, but it did not cause much damage to Chen's dominance. Although the freezing trap had a strong freezing probability and froze Chen, the firm will was triggered and it was instantly released. Strong attack. Spinning stab. Backstab and finishing blow. Piercing the heart. With a whoosh, a beam of blood shot through the Black Panther's body, causing more damage and harvesting its remaining blood. System, congratulations on clearing the 30th floor of the Death Tower, title at 1. As the system prompt sounded, Chen also exited the Death Tower. Anyway, he couldn't beat the 40th floor, so there was no point in continuing to fight. Then, he went to the Flame Alliance branch in Bayun City and found an elder named Lola. That's right, he was once a subordinate of Sid and a believer of the god of fire Oz. Young man, you are an assassin, what do you want from me? Lola is an elder of the Flame Alliance, and of course he is also a fire mage. Master, I got the information, I heard that you are a believer of the god of fire Oz. Chen asked. Lola immediately stroked his beard, with a proud look. Obviously, Oz is a higher god, and it is an honor to be his believer. Yes, where did you get the information? Sid. It turned out to be the heroic spirit of Senior Sid. Lola suddenly realized and looked at Chen deeply. Senior Sid could tell him about his own affairs, obviously he valued this kid very much. You went to so much trouble to find out my identity, you should also want to become a believer of the great god Oz, right? Chen nodded honestly. Well, Senior Sid should not have made a mistake. It's a pity that I am only a believer of the great god Oz, not a preacher, and cannot spread the power of faith, Lola said. It doesn't matter. Chen sighed secretly. Lola was a relatively powerful NPC. She was a level 75 fire mage, but she was not a preacher. After thinking about it, Chen asked unwillingly, then Master, do you know which preachers are under the command of the great god Oz? Hee, how can we little people know about this kind of thing? But I do know one, Lola said. Chen took a breath secretly. You are considered a little person, so how powerful must the believers of the fire god Oz be? His name is Fire Dragon. He is a cruel guy. He has strict requirements for his subordinates. He sends a large number of tasks to collect fire energy every day. If the subordinates fail to complete it, the believer status will be abolished at the least, and the worst is to wipe it out, Lola sighed. Compared with Fire Dragon, his boss Sid is very open-minded. Eliminate him if it's serious. He's so arrogant, the Alliance doesn't care, Chen asked in surprise. Well, Huo Long is a wandering berserker, and has long been included in the blacklist of the Light Alliance. This guy doesn't care about the interests of our light camp at all, Laura sighed and said, Brother Chen, you must not become his subordinate, otherwise there will be no good end. Hearing this, Chen smiled obscurely, haha, I'm a player, am I afraid of him, an NPC? It doesn't matter, Master Laura, please tell me where he is, Chen asked. Becoming a believer of the gods, the increased power of faith, for Chen now, is nothing at all. He really wants to be a preacher of the gods. The preachers of the lower gods, the preachers of the middle gods, and the preachers of the upper gods are very different. Take the god of fire for example, the preachers of the lower gods increase the fire strength by 1 point for each believer they recruit. The preachers of the middle gods increase the fire strength by 2 points. Upper god, increase the fire power by 3 points. Recruiting 1 or 2 believers, there is no difference, but recruiting 100 or 1000 believers, the difference is huge. Since Ye Chen is determined to become a preacher of the gods, he naturally wants to believe in an upper god, even if it is difficult. Since you said so, I can't force it, Laura said. However, Huolong is a wandering berserker, his whereabouts are uncertain, and he seems to be active in the LV8 main city recently. LV8 main city, thank you. Ye Chen thanked him, said goodbye and left, first teleported back to Kinyu City, and then set off for the LV8 main city, Guangzhou City. After riding on the somersault cloud for more than 3 hours, he arrived at Longyang City. He did not dare to act recklessly and continued to move forward in stealth. After all, the monsters behind him were getting higher and higher in level and could easily kill him, so he had to be careful. 3 days later, he successfully arrived at Guangzhou City. He asked several NPCs along the way and finally got the news about Fire Dragon. It turned out that he led his team to attack the Flame Demon in the Flame Prison. The Flame Prison was composed of multiple volcanoes, with magma and fire everywhere. Ye Chen did not dare to go in at all, because he would be burned to death as soon as he went in. The Flame Demon was a level 80 saint-level demon with extraordinary strength. Ye Chen went to the entrance of the Flame Prison in stealth and waited quietly. After an unknown period of time, a berserker carrying a flaming giant sword came out with a team of mages. These people were undoubtedly saint-level strongmen. The berserker was Fire Dragon. He was dressed in armor, carrying a flaming sword, and his eyes were as sharp as lightning. Who is it? Huolong had just stepped out of the cave, and his face was full of joy. Suddenly, he turned his head and stared at Ye Chen's position with a gloomy look. Obviously, his perception was very strong. After being discovered, Ye Chen cancelled his stealth and walked out alone. Human assassin? Level 22, Huolong and his group of mages looked at Ye Chen in surprise. They couldn't believe that a level 22 kid actually appeared in the wild area of Guangzhou City. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 183. Haha, you little assassin came to Guangzhou City alone and is lurking here to assassinate us. The Fire Dragon glanced at Ye Chen and laughed loudly. The fire mages behind him also laughed endlessly, teasing Ye Chen and not taking Ye Chen seriously at all. This is normal, after all, they are all saint-level powerhouses. A level 22 assassin is nothing in their eyes. Ye Chen didn't get angry either. To get angry with them now was to seek death, so he should endure it. Senior Fire Dragon, I came here because of your reputation. I know that you are the evangelist of the great god Oz, and I also want to become a believer of the great god. Ye Chen said seriously, but to his surprise, Huolong and others' eyes widened, as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world, and they laughed forward and backward. Fart, you little assassin, how can you become a believer of Oz? Don't be presumptuous, be careful I kill you. As he said that, the Fire Dragon's eyes flashed, as if there was a ball of flame beating in his eyes, followed by a strong heat. Forget it, brother, you have killed too much and have been blacklisted by the Alliance. If you kill again, I'm afraid you will be targeted by the old guys in the Alliance, and this guy is a level 22 assassin. You can't be as knowledgeable as him. Fire technique, they hurriedly advised. Huolong snorted coldly, turned around and left without looking at Ye Chen. Ye Chen had not yet achieved his goal, so of course he would not let him go. With a swish, he summoned Xiaohong. Xiaohong is a fire phoenix and is very close to the power of fire. It is not afraid of people. It seems to like the Fire Dragon and others, flying around them. As for Huolong and others, they were all stunned. With their recognition, they could recognize Xiaohong's true identity at a glance. Phoenix. It turned out to be a fire phoenix. The fire dragon cried out, greed appearing in his fire eyes, and the other fire spells also looked shocked, secretly sighing that Yechen was hiding it. Looking at their expressions, Yechen chuckled. Unexpectedly, the situation was reversed. The fire dragon laughed wildly and took out a red, drop-shaped earring the size of a pinky finger. Okay, boy, you can let this fire phoenix recover true body, let me chop it to death and absorb its pure flame energy, and I will make you a believer in Oz. Hearing this, Yechen's eyes narrowed and he snorted coldly in his heart. Xiao Hong died once in battle, and his favorability was -1. If he let him die, his favorability would be reduced by an unknown amount. It would probably drop to freezing point, betraying him. Yechen would never allow such a thing. Xiao Hong was also frightened by the violent aura coming from the fire dragon. With a whoosh sound, it bumped into Yechen's face in panic. Yechen put on his back hat and it fled behind Yechen's ear. Yechen could clearly feel it trembling because of fear. Damn you, this fire dragon is really unruly to the extreme. Since he is so provocative to his divine pet, Yechen has already decided that one day, he will be killed. Boy, what are you still hesitating about? Don't you want to become a believer of God Oz? This is your only chance. You know, becoming a believer of the higher God is not easy. Fire Dragon stared at Yechen, his eyes Qianting, with a touch of greed that could not be concealed, stared at the little phoenix behind Yechen's ears, with only half of its head exposed. Yechen suppressed the anger in his heart, but smiled and said, "Senior, why are you in a hurry? This fire phoenix is still in its infancy. You have to wait a little longer for me to raise it and become a real divine beast. I will kill it with my own hands, absorb its flame energy, and then offer it to you." Okay, very good, it is still small now, just the Golden Lord, and the flame energy is so pure, if it becomes a divine beast, the flame energy will definitely be purer and more powerful. Blinded by the benefits, the fire dragon laughed wildly. After a while, he suddenly stopped and slowly asked Yechen, "But when it becomes a divine beast, how will you kill it?" "Don't worry, it's just my pet. Even if it becomes a mythical beast and I want to kill it, it won't dare to resist or even hide." Yechen smiled darkly in his heart. "Haha, your words are enough, but your boy is too weak. Even if the beast stands still and kills you, you can't kill it." "But it doesn't matter, I will do it myself when the time comes," the fire dragon laughed, and then his eyes turned cold and he gritted his teeth and said, "Last point, boy, I'm not sure whether you are lying to me." "I'm not lying to you. God Oz is the God I admire most. In order to become a believer of the God, let alone just a pet, I will not hesitate to sacrifice my life." "Humph, I hope what you said is true. Now I will temporarily let you become a believer, but if one day you change your mind, I will not only deprive you of your identity as a believer, but I will also kill you with my own hands." The fire dragon stared at Yechen with lightning eyes. After a moment, Yechen received a system prompt in his ear. "System, Fire Dragon, the Evangelist of Oz, the God of Fire, invites you to become a believer in Ounce. Do you accept it?" "Yes." Yechen decisively agreed. In an instant, he felt a tenacious flame in his body, and his whole body felt warm and comfortable. "System, you become a believer of the fire god Oz, the fire attribute is strengthened by add 10 points, and the fire resistance is add 50 points. Yechen was overjoyed when he heard the system prompt. Although these attributes are not many, they are just believers. If you become a preacher and recruit believers, you will get rich feedback. Boy, you must always remember your words, raise your phoenix and then give it to me to kill and absorb the pure fire energy." The fire dragon threatened Yechen in a cold voice, and then handed the red, drop-shaped earrings in his hand to Yechen. "This is a flame absorber. I will give you one. You need to complete the task every day and absorb 1000 points of flame energy. If it is not completed, I will still do it, will kill you. Ye Chen took the earrings and looked up, and found that the fire spells all wore the same earrings, and the fire dragon also wore an earring on his right ear, but the color was darker, and it should be a higher end item. Senior, when can I become a preacher like you? I also want to spread the power of faith for the great god Oz and let the flames cover the whole world. Ye Chen looked at the fire dragon pretending to admire him. Humph, you are quite ambitious, but for you, this is probably impossible. The fire dragon said, first of all, you have to fill your flame absorber with fire energy, a total of 1,000,000 points. Among them, I need to absorb 1,000 points of fire energy from you every day. So, I know clearly whether you have completed the task. Don't give it I'm playing tricks. If you don't complete the task, I will kill you with my own hands. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 184. 1,000,000 Fire Energy. Ye Chen pondered for a moment and put on the red earrings. Obviously, the collection of fire energy requires killing fire monsters. Huo Long, a common man, needs to absorb 1,000 points of fire energy every day. If Ye Chen wants to be promoted to a preacher, it can be said that he has a long way to go. Humph, assassin boy, always remember the mission and your promise. Huo Long snorted coldly, waved his hand and left with the fire magic. As the group left, the heat in the air disappeared, and Ye Chen also breathed a sigh of relief, teleported back to Kinyu City, and headed towards the monster area outside the city. System, you found the Flame Mountain. As the system prompt sounded in his ears, Ye Chen came to a hot rocky land. Looking around, there were some red snails the size of water tanks with steel shells on their backs. Burning Snail, Ordinary Monster. Level 25. HP, 2200/2200. Skills, Fireball, Roll. In addition to monsters, there were also many small teams spawning monsters here. Ye Chen didn't care about them. He sneaked up and stunned a burning snail with a club, which prevented it from shrinking its head into the shell. Once it shrinks in, the super high defense will make people very painful. Cut the throat. Ye Chen waved the dagger and easily cut the snail's neck and took it away. After it fell, a faint spark rose from the corpse and rushed directly into Ye Chen's earrings. I want to see how much fire energy I can absorb by killing a fire monster. Ye Chen pondered and checked the properties of the earrings. Flame Absorber, Special Item. Level 1. Stored Fire Energy, 0/. The next 1,000,000 should be the upper limit, that is to say, killing a level 25 fire monster, I can't absorb any fire energy at all. Ye Chen felt a headache. At this pace, when can he accumulate 1,000,000 fire energy? What's more, the fire dragon has to absorb 1,000 points every day. Gritting his teeth, Ye Chen replaced the red flame dagger with another level 20 purple dagger and started a crazy slaughter. The red flame dagger has additional fire attribute attacks, and his own fire strength reaches 65 points, but the fire resistance of the burning snail is higher, so he can't do much damage, so he simply changed to an ordinary dagger. This time the damage is off the charts, and one skill hits the snail's head and kills it instantly. The snail in the distance threw 2 golden darts in a row, which also killed it instantly. In just 2 or 3 minutes, Ye Chen killed more than 100 burning snails in succession. When he checked the flame absorber, he found that 2 points of fire energy had been absorbed. Killing about 50 burning snails can absorb 1 point of fire energy, so killing 50,000 snails can complete the task. Alas, it is troublesome, but not too difficult. Ye Chen smiled helplessly. He didn't expect that his damage was too high. Killing ordinary monsters was as easy as chopping monsters and cutting vegetables. If it were an ordinary person, such a daily task would be worse than death. At this time, many players stopped attacking and stared at Ye Chen's figure of killing monsters in amazement. Oh my god, Who is this thief? He is so fierce. He killed a snail with one knife. In addition to being shocked, everyone was more depressed. Although Yechen did not steal monsters, his speed of killing monsters was too fast, which caused the monsters to refresh too fast. In this area, there are fewer and fewer snails. Damn, this is still stealing monsters. For a moment, the leaders of many small teams looked at each other and had evil thoughts, preparing to attack Yechen together. After all, he was just a thief. No matter how high the damage was, his life was very fragile. If several small teams attacked together, they would definitely kill him easily. As they thought so, suddenly a slightly dazzling fire flashed, and then a huge burning snail appeared 5 yards away to the right of Yechen. It was about the size of a calf, and its body was darker in color. It should be an elite monster. Run! Yechen rushed forward like lightning, and the sharp dagger directly stabbed into the elite snail's eyebrows. Stab and final strike. Pierce. -8,600. In an instant, a red blood light flashed and pierced the snail's head directly. With a click, the huge and hard shell behind it was also shot through. As the fragments fell, the snail also fell down with a bang, raising a cloud of dust. Hiss! The leaders gasped, and Hunter was almost scared away. When they looked at each other, they could see the shock and relief in each other's eyes. Elite monster, killed in one move. This is not an ordinary thief. With such high damage, he must be a master. Fortunately, he didn't do it, otherwise he would die without knowing how. Compared to them, Yechen shook his head secretly. Because the snail has a hard shell, it is not easy for him to use backstab, otherwise the damage of piercing the heart would be doubled. After killing an elite monster, Yechen checked the earring again and found that it suddenly increased by more than 10 points of fire energy. Tisk tisk, killing an elite monster is more than 10 points of fire energy, which is equivalent to killing more than 500 ordinary monsters. Yechen sighed secretly. He didn't expect that there was such a big difference between elite monsters and ordinary monsters. In this way, the fire leader and lord must have increased more fire energy. Thinking of this, Yechen felt that he needed to snatch a lord boss to test the waters. If he could get more than 100 points of fire energy, he would not need to spawn ordinary monsters and could focus on killing bosses. After killing the fire bosses in Kinyu City, he would go to Bayun City to kill them. Anyway, they are all boss. Even if the level of the boss in Bayun City is a little lower, the fire energy is definitely n times higher than that of ordinary monsters. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. He was thinking about it, while several teams over there were secretly observing his information. Yechen! He is Yechen, everyone exclaimed when they saw it. Yechen did not care about the level. Look, he wasted several days to become a believer of the god of fire. He had long fallen from the first place in the level list of the light camp to an unknown number of places. The level of the team here is basically the same as his, and some people are one level higher than him. In this case, even if he hides his name, the other party can see through it if the recognition is not too low. It turns out to be Yechen, no wonder he is so awesome. The idea of Yechen has long been famous. He stole Suanwuo, grabbed the first kill, and exploded the first guild token of the light camp. All kinds of deeds are commendable. Of course, the first line players have seen him, but most people have only heard of him but never seen him. Now that they have seen him, they feel that Yechen is worthy of his reputation. He can kill elite monsters in one move. This method is definitely worthy of the word god. Yechen was about to leave and go deep into the flame mountain. He was attracted by the exclamation behind him. He turned back in surprise and saw that everyone was looking at him with admiration. He smiled and asked, "Do you know the boss here, the rampage snail? Was it killed today?" The Lord boss refreshes once within 24 hours. he has been away from Kinyu City for 3 or 4 days and doesn't know the situation. We came here to swipe monsters early this morning. We didn't hear the roar of the boss. It should not have refreshed today, everyone hurriedly said. Seeing the god take the initiative to talk, his face flushed with excitement. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 185. Oh, so which guild supports the boss in this area? Ye Chen asked again. At this stage, because many guilds have been established. Most of the bosses in Kinyu City and even Baiun City are protected by the elite groups of major guilds. After all, boss has a high income. If you buy a purple outfit, it will cost hundreds of dollars. This is almost a common problem in all online games. The real majority will always be occupied by major guilds. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. In the same monster area, in some locations, the number of monsters is greater and the frequency of refreshing is faster. Such a place is called Golden Monster Spawning Spot. The golden monster spawning points are obviously all occupied by guild forces. The boss refresh points in the major monster areas are also protected by guild forces. Ordinary players, and even ordinary teams, can only swallow their anger. What can I do if I can't bear it? Ordinary players who offend a large guild and have no strength are likely to be chased back to level 0 and sadly quit the game. For ordinary players, the place where they can get the most benefit is the dungeon, but before they can clear it, the dungeon must have been damaged by others, and the explosion rate is extremely low. After a period of precipitation, the gap will widen. So in the later stage of the game, high-end players are becoming more and more powerful, and ordinary players are becoming more and more ordinary. Maybe they don't think anything, because the late-stage equipment is getting cheaper and more affordable, and they can just bite the bullet and buy a set of purple equipment of the same level. I think I'm on the right track, but when I actually compete with high-end players, the gap is really not that big. In the late stages of any online game, there are many examples where a certain master challenges hundreds of people and wins. Hall of Fame, everyone replied again. How many of them are there? I don't know about the entire Flame Mountain, but in the area of Burning Snail, they have 4 groups, 1 elite group and 3 gold hunting groups. Well, thank you. Ye Chen got the information he wanted, nodded slightly to everyone, and was about to leave, but was stopped by everyone. Master, are you planning to steal the boss of the Hall of Fame? Can you take us with you? Ye Chen was happy when he heard this. You also know that I am going to rob the Hall of Fame. How dare you follow me? What are you afraid of? With God Ye protecting you, we are not afraid of the Hall of Fame at all, the crowd shouted eagerly, extremely excited. It has been almost 2 months since the game was launched, and they have never really beaten the wild boss, and there will be less and less opportunities in the future. If I were to hang out with Ye Chen now, I would at least have some fun. If you feel comfortable serving the master, you may have the opportunity to follow the master to defeat boss in the future. Just a Hall of Fame. Ye Chen touched his nose awkwardly. When did he hold it in his mouth like this? Covered by himself, a giant-like Hall of Fame turned into a mirror. Well, you can follow, and follow the command in all actions, Ye Chen said. Yes, yes, the great god told us to go east, but we didn't dare to go west. The great god told us to beat the dogs, but we didn't dare. Okay. Add up 5 or 60 of you and form 2 teams. All thieves will line up. Ye Chen gave the order and everyone moved quickly, fearing that they would be a step too late. After a while, 8 thieves stood up. The 8 of you team up with me. There are several boss in this Flame Mountain. You sneak over and keep an eye on them. Once the boss is refreshed, notify me immediately. Remember, the other party will definitely have blood-colored eyes, so pay attention. Don't be discovered by the enemy, Ye Chen said, creating a team and adding 8 thieves. The thieves secretly rejoiced, agreed, and hurriedly sneaked away. Next, Yechen was no longer in a hurry and continued brushing the burning snails on the spot. After a while, large swaths of burning snails fell down, and everyone watched eagerly. They wanted to team up with Yechen to gain experience, but Yechen had already assigned a team, and they did not dare to act recklessly. Yechen only focused on slaying monsters and did not pick up the copper coins and materials that fell on the ground. Seeing the pitiful looks on everyone's faces, Yechen smiled and said, "These copper coins and materials belong to you." Everyone was overjoyed when they heard this and hurriedly helped clean up the battlefield. Less than an hour later, a loud roar came from the depths of the volcano, and Yechen and others' eyes widened. It was obvious that the boss had been refreshed, and it was the boss of the burning snail territory, the rampage snail. At the same time, a thief named Sci-fi who teamed up with Yechen also sent a message reporting that the rampaging snail was refreshed. "Follow me." Yechen gave the order and rushed out first, and everyone followed excitedly. 3 minutes later, Sci-fi locked the coordinates of the rampaging snail and sent another message. Yechen smiled with satisfaction and led everyone to rush towards the coordinate point. When they arrived, the boss rampage snail had been surrounded by 4 groups of Hall of Fame, with a total of more than 100 people. That bright red snail is as big as a bull. On the huge head, a pair of big eyes opened angrily, white mist sprayed out from the nose to block the sight, and took the opportunity to rush wildly. In an instant, white light flashed and screams continued. What's more important is that the steel shell on its back actually has protruding barbs, which have the ability to rebound damage. As a result, although the Hall of Fame team surrounded it, only the people in front dared to attack its head. The teams on both sides and behind did not dare to attack at all. Rampant Snail, Lord. Level 28. HP/. Skill. In addition, in the outer circle surrounding the boss, there is a player standing in each of the 4 directions of east, west, south and north. They look cautious, observing the slightest movement around them, and sometimes their eyes turn blood red. Obviously, these 4 guys all have blood red eyes. They are observing whether there will be a thief attack. 100 yards away, behind a huge rock, Yechen and others gathered. "You wait here first, I will call you, and then you can go up." Seeing that everyone was fanatical and excited, Yechen hurriedly gave a warning to suppress their restlessness. "Don't worry, God, we listen to you," everyone replied. "Yes." Yechen nodded and moved forward stealthily, neither hurried nor slow. The blood-red eyes have a range of only 30 yards. He moved forward carefully, and suddenly saw the player squatting in front of him. The red light in his eyes dissipated. He immediately turned on the wind step, increased his speed, and ran away. Stab. Yechen stabbed with a knife, and the man rolled his eyes and fell to the ground and died. The man didn't have time to scream before he died, and the team attacking the boss didn't know about it, but a squatter next to him turned his head and saw it. His expression changed instantly. Looking at the red name above Yechen's head, his face was full of fear, and he was about to scream to alert the team behind him, but he was hit by the dart that came immediately, and with a muffled sound, he was stunned. Then, Yechen threw another dart and wiped him out. In just 2 or 3 seconds, Yechen killed 2 people, drank a bottle of lazy potion and killed him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 186. Roll. Yechen took 2 steps and rolled on the ground. After 2.5 seconds, he entered the invisible state again. Then, he went around the back row of the Hall of Fame elite group and easily killed 2 priests in 2 cuts. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. The The screams sounded, alerting everyone in the Hall of Fame. Yeshen. Taizi, what's wrong with you? 4 people were squatting in 4 directions, and someone came in to kill you, and you didn't even know. The leader of the elite group, Brother Xiang, roared, furious, but he didn't know that 2 of the 4 people, including Taizi, had already died. In a blink of an eye, Ye Chen killed 2 more people. Such a terrifying fighting power is frightening. Stab and finishing blow. Pierce the heart. A beam of blood shot out, extending 5 yards, and 6 players were shot dead in a straight line. Ye Chen preferred piercing heart because it was his only group attack skill. Although it was only a line, it was still sharp. The news of teammates being killed by Ye Chen rang in their ears one after another. Brother Xiang and others were shocked and angry. How many seconds had passed? Ye Chen actually killed 10 people in a row, which was even more terrifying than the boss. Ah! What you fear will come true. Just as Brother Xiang and the others were attracted by Ye Chen, the boss, the rampage snail, suddenly attacked. Its huge head whoosh retracted into its shell, rolled up, stirred up a cloud of dust and slammed forward. The shield warrior panicked and was blasted back several steps, so that the rampage snail rushed into the group. Fireball. With a bang, the rampage snail spit out a fireball, which actually exploded directly on the ground. The fire curtain rose, and several people in the front row of the group were killed instantly. Ye Chen, I hum you lao mu, Brother Xiang was so angry that his eyes turned red. They were almost certain to take down this boss, but when Ye Chen came, in just a few seconds, the number of his elite group members dropped by half. Elite group. You know, the level and equipment level of their elite group members are far better than those of the gold group. Attacking the boss is mainly the task of the elite group, and the gold group can only assist at most. Now that their elite group has lost half of its members, the threat of the opposing boss is getting bigger and bigger. Gold group, you follow the MT to hold the boss's hatred. Brothers, kill Ye Chen for me. Brother Xiang roared, and with a tremor of the ground, he activated the rage buff. This special effect of the ground shaking slightly is the special effect of rage. The higher the level, the more obvious the special effect. Obviously, Brother Xiang's rage level is quite high, and the amplified attributes are also many. In addition, his rage points have been accumulated, and his whole body is shining with golden and red light. This is the domineering state. Now his damage has more than doubled. As long as he touches Ye Chen, the latter will definitely die. Collision. Swish. Brother Xiang was seen dragging the giant sword and rushing like a bull, but at this time, Ye Chen used strong invisibility and disappeared under everyone's eyes, making him hit nothing. War cry. Break the martial arts. A second later, an exciting war cry sounded, and Ye Chen rushed into the crowd. Wherever the dagger passed, blood was scattered, and several people were killed in seconds. Looking for death, Brother Xiang raised the giant sword high and slashed it down suddenly. Heavy blow. -461. Brother Xiang looked at the damage he had dealt and was in disbelief for a moment. He also saw that Ye Chen was also in a domineering state, but domineering states also have different levels. The little damage he dealt now was enough to show that Ye Chen's domineering state was very powerful. Ye Chen didn't care about him. He was in a rage and was also in a domineering state. Ye Chen didn't need to fight him, but avoided him instead. When he withdrew from the combat state, his accumulated rage points would decrease. At that moment, he would withdraw from the domineering state, and it would not be too late for Ye Chen to kill him in seconds. Throat slash. Stun. Spinning stab. -4600. -3280. -4590. Ye Chen turned sharply, killing one by one, and killing crazily. Among them, ordinary attacks against squishy skins could kill instantly. In 5 seconds, he deliberately avoided Brother Xiang while slaughtering his teammates. In the end, only Brother Xiang was left. At the same time, Brother Xiang's domineering state disappeared. His Brother Xiang looked around and saw the bodies of his men everywhere. In other words, Ye Chen had already slaughtered his entire elite group except for himself. One person slaughtered an elite group. Although the boss helped him unintentionally, it was enough to show how terrifying he was. At this moment, Brother Xiang truly realized Ye Chen's strength. I saw that Ye Chen had lost his hegemony now, but he also had no hegemony. For a moment, facing Ye Chen's cold eyes, he was actually scared. The berserker was scared and weak. Ye Chen threw a stun dart casually, and then rushed forward and easily killed him in seconds. At this point, Brother Xiang's elite group was completely wiped out. 100 yards away, behind a huge rock, the large army was stunned. Ye Chen's terrifying strength almost exploded their balls. On the other side, the 3 gold groups of the Hall of Fame woke up and were scared to sweat. Damn, Ye Chen is too strong. He actually killed Brother Xiang's elite group alone. Bastard, fight him. Anyway, we can't take down the boss with our damage. The members of the gold group were determined and gave up the boss and rushed towards Ye Chen. The long-range bombardment had already begun. Ye Chen's martial arts skill was cooling down, but he didn't dare to be arrogant. He turned around and ran. With his higher agility, he opened the distance in an instant. Brothers, come on. Suddenly, Ye Chen roared, and the people in the gold group were startled. Then, a mountain roar sounded 100 yards away, and nearly 60 people rushed over. He actually has foreign aid. Strong strength and careful mind. Terrible, the hearts of the people in the gold group sank to the bottom of the valley. A few seconds later, the runaway snail, the gold group, and the 2 wild groups, the 3 parties were in a melee with smoke and dust rolling, and the air was filled with smog. The 3 gold groups had previously consumed each other with the boss, and the number of people was only about 60, which was the same as the number of the 2 wild groups formed by Ye Chen temporarily. The strength and equipment of the gold group were not enough, and they were slightly weaker than the members of these wild groups. After all, the members of the wild group came to Kinyu City with real skills, while they were brought up by the gold group. The difference between the 2 sides will be revealed in one fight. A few minutes later, the wild group lost more than 10 people, and half of the gold group was killed directly. Retreat, we can't win. It's good to keep a level. The leader of the gold group gave a rational order. In an instant, everyone retreated and ran back. Leave the boss to me, you chase. Don't leave any, Ye Chen said coldly. Nowadays, the guild power of the light camp has taken shape. It is difficult for him to gain a foothold if he wants to create a guild and build a power. Although he is famous, he can't support a guild, even with Huo Wu's fame. Therefore, when he creates a guild, he must do something, a shocking event. For example, kill a giant guild and directly take the top. He dare not provoke the myth for the time being, so the Hall of Fame, which is on the decline, is the best choice. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 187. Ye Chen doesn't plan to create a guild yet, so before that, he can try his best to target the Hall of Fame. From the elite group, down to the gold group, and even peripheral players, every time a group is killed, their overall strength will inevitably decline by 1 point. Okay, boss, leave those people to us. You can concentrate on beating the boss, everyone shouted and chased the escaping Jin Tuan. Ye Chen rushed towards the rampaging snail, raised his hand and hit its head with a stun dart, knocking it out. Who knew that its stun resistance was extremely high, and it recovered within a second, then retracted its huge head into the shell and rolled out. It was like a huge steel wheel, plowing a ravine on the ground, stirring up billowing smoke and dust, and quickly crashed towards Yuchen. Yuchen didn't dare to be lazy and turned around, but the rampaging snail also turned around and chased him desperately. Yuchen took a deep breath and had no choice but to summon Xiaohong. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Burn it down. Suddenly, Xiaohong transformed into a flaming bird, and with a scorching air current, he suddenly blasted towards the rampaging snail. Bang! The huge explosion exploded, sending thick smoke everywhere, and then dissipated. Ye Chen raised his eyes and saw that the rampaging snail was stopped abruptly, his HP was also severely damaged, and his low blood volume became disabled. Blood, Ye Chen took the opportunity to rush forward and easily took away a set of skills. The rampaging snail wailed, and its huge body collapsed. Immediately, a bright spark rose from its body and rushed straight into Ye Chen's earrings. Ye Chen was overjoyed. The sparks he had previously killed from ordinary burning snails and even elite monsters were very weak, making people worry that they would go out at any time, but the spark he had just absorbed was very bright, and could be as big as a baby's fist. To be precise, it was no longer a spark, but a real fire. That spark should be able to increase a lot of fire energy, Ye Chen muttered and checked the properties of the earrings. Flame Absorber, Special Item. Level 1. Stored Fire Energy, 582/. Wow, over 500? It was only over 10 before. Ye Chen showed a surprised smile. He had killed Brother Xiang's elite group before, and there must be many fire mages among them, or people who specialize in fire. Killing those people should have absorbed a little fire energy, but this boss, the rampaging snail, is the big one, at least 500 points of fire energy. A level 28 boss can absorb more than 500 points of fire energy, which is far beyond Ye Chen's imagination. He originally planned to have 100 points, now it seems that this daily task is not difficult. Of course, this task requires handing in 1000 points of fire energy every day, but Ye Chen won't rush to do it every day. If you have time, just farm more fire bosses to accumulate fire energy, and save it for later. However, accumulating fire energy is a long-term matter. When he is busy, he should put it aside temporarily and collect it when he has some free time. After all, he also wants to be promoted to Evangelist of Oz as soon as possible. After killing the boss, Ye Chen glanced at the loot. Because the rampaging snail was not the first kill and nothing good was revealed this time, he didn't bother to pick it up and gave it to the wild group when the time came. Looking around, he found that there was no one around, so he took Xiaohong back again. After all, Xiaohong was his biggest trump card at the moment. Afterwards, Ye Chen continued to farm burning snails nearby. Not long after, the wild group returned from completing their mission. Master Ye, we have made the Hall of Fame suffer such a big loss. I guess Jian Xingtian will not be able to swallow this breath. When the time comes, he will send an army to surround the Flame Mountain. A mage player who was walking at the front of the wild group called out Beiji, he said slightly worried at this moment. Well, what you said makes sense, he may indeed send someone here. Ye Chen affirmed and then smiled. However, at this stage, large guilds are competing for the refresh points of the boss. It is impossible for Qian Xingtianxia to send out large troops. He, that's right, Beiji nodded, relieved. Next, everyone brushed monsters in place and continued to wait for news from the thieves. On the other side, the Hall of Fame. Damn it! Axiong, you have an elite group and 3 gold groups, and you were brought back by Ye Chen and a bunch of rabble. Hall Master Ao Wushuan heard the voice coming from his ears, his eyebrows were raised angrily, and he cursed loudly. Boss, that guy is really evil. His attack power is off the charts. He can do 3,400 damage with just one skill. His normal attacks can kill his skin instantly, moreover, he also has a special skill of dominating the body, with high defense. It's so deadly that there's no need to fight. Brother Xiang said in frustration. He is considered a relatively powerful group leader in the Hall of Fame. He has never suffered such a loss before. Now, he is directly suppressed by Ye Chen and cannot hold his head up. Nonsense. No matter how awesome he is just a thief. You can't control the concentrated fire and kill him instantly, Ao Wushuan said angrily. Hey, in theory it's possible, but we were fighting the boss at that time. Who knew that kid would come, and the joint boss caught me off guard. Humph, stop making excuses for me. You go back quickly. Now that the boss has been defeated, you can just send 2 people from the golden group to guard him. Then take the remaining people and specifically target Ye Shen and kill him for me. If you still fail this time, don't come back, Ao Wushuan roared. Yes, boss, if there is no boss harassment, we will definitely kill him, Brother Xiang hurriedly patted his chest and responded, but found that Ao Wushuan had hung up, and he was embarrassed. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. You know, Ao Wushuan was very optimistic about him before, but now because of Ye Chen, his position in Ao Wushuan's heart has dropped sharply. If Ye Chen is not dealt with again, his position may be shaken. Damn, it's all that Ye Chen, this time he must be killed, Brother Xiang snorted and hurriedly led the army towards Huoyan Mountain. At the same time, he also notified several other captains guarding Huoyan Mountain to let them be wary of Ye Chen. Half an hour later, Brother Xiang led 4 groups, a total of hundreds of people, to enter Huoyan Mountain again, searching for Ye Chen's traces separately. Who knew that Ye Chen and others were still at the refresh point of the previous rampaging snail? Looking at the figures of Ye Chen and others, Brother Xiang should have been happy, because this meant that he could take revenge immediately. But now, he was ashamed and angry. Damn, Ye Chen would definitely guess that he would come back, but he didn't even move his position, obviously not taking him seriously. Brothers, kill them. Brother Xiang shouted with all his might, as if he wanted to release all the frustration in his heart. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 188. Brother Xiang roared and led the army to charge in a black mass. Beiji and others were startled and looked at Ye Chen eagerly, but they saw Ye Chen with a calm face. He raised his hand and cast a teleportation array. Team teleport. Suddenly, several white lights flashed in succession, and a total of 20 people appeared in the teleportation array. Go, I was wondering why he suddenly teamed up with us. It turns out that he wants to fight again, Tank laughed in the crowd. Stop talking nonsense, brothers, follow me. Tank, open the cover. Ye Chen laughed and cursed, and burst into an excited war cry. In an instant, the army rushed out, and Tank suddenly rushed out, his body swelled and turned into a dark werewolf, and rushed into the enemy army first. Alien beast species. Brother Xiang and others were shocked, and then an ancient vicissitudes of life roared, and the phantom of the black tortoise condensed. Crackling. Bang bang bang. -1. -1. -1. In an instant, countless skills exploded like fireworks, but Brother Xiang and others were shocked to find that they could not break the defense of the black tortoise at all. On the other side, Ye Chen led the main force and rushed into the enemy group, slaughtering crazily. Suan Wu cover? Holy weapon. They are the main force of Ye Chen. Damn, Ye Chen actually has the special skill of teleporting teammates. In a few seconds, Brother Xiang's team was killed and defeated, and he was shocked and regretful at this time. But now it's too late for him to regret it. Ye Chen, Uncle Soy Sauce, Old Duck, and others are crazy. When the Suan Wu cover disappears, more than half of the opponent has fallen. Retreat, Brother Xiang said aggrievedly. Want to run? Ye Chen squinted his eyes and sneered, kill them, don't leave any. Haha, the boss is angry today, kill them. Everyone cheered, chased, and beat fiercely, and the battle ended after a few minutes. After the fierce battle, Yechen and others didn't want the spoils on the ground, but gave them to the wild group directly. Why did we fight with the Hall of Fame so quickly? Shouldn't we keep a low profile and develop in a low profile now? Tank frowned and asked. It's okay. Now all the major guilds are competing for the boss refresh point, and Qianxing Tianxia has no spare energy to send a large force to deal with us. Yechen smiled and said, take this opportunity to weaken their strength first, and then create a guild and fight them. Although Yechen's words were plain, everyone understood the ambition contained in them. He wanted to use the Hall of Fame to get promoted. This courage shocked them. Sister Huowu, how many people have we recruited now? Yechen asked. Huowu, nearly 100 people. Okay, call them all over, let's take care of Huoyan Mountain first. Yechen said, divide them into 3 groups, Sister Huowu, Uncle Soy Sauce, and Old Duck, you all have to bear with it for a while, and each of you will bring out a potential leader in the next group. When you bring one out, you will return to the team. Obviously, Yechen plans to create a guild, so he must first train several elite groups. Huowu, Soy Sauce, and Old Duck are all experienced drivers, so it should be easy for them to drive and lead people and train new drivers. At this stage, Tank also has the strength, but Yechen did not assign it because he is now more dependent on Tank. Most of the time, he still travels alone, and when he encounters force majeure, he will inevitably need to use team teleportation. Without Huowu and the other 2, at most the combat effectiveness will be reduced, and Tank is more important. Yes, Huowu, Soy Sauce, and Old Duck responded and left the team. Then each of them went to assign those newcomers and form a new group. Boss Yechen, are you guys going to create a guild? Beiji and the others asked with fascination. Yechen smiled and said, why, do you want to join too? Of course we do, Beiji and the others were extremely excited. Our guild is not an ordinary guild. Elite members need to sign a contract and lose their freedom. Are you willing to do this? Huowu patiently explained. In major online games, in addition to giants and even some large guilds, there are more guilds. They can be said to be huddled together for warmth, or to be looking for like-minded friends to play games together. But in fact, they have no plans, no strict requirements, members can leave when they want to, and quit when they want to, which is extremely unstable. Compared with large guilds, they are obviously just playing around. The elites of large guilds need to sign a contract of at least 1 year and receive monthly salary and bonuses. But the guild's requirements for them are stricter, and there are tasks assigned every day. Everyone was silent. It is obvious that if you want to become the elite of the guild, it is not enough to have awareness, but also to have real strength. You know, the 100 people recruited by Huowu have a solid foundation. It's okay, you can join the guild if you want, there are no requirements for you, and you can quit if you don't have fun. But you need to participate in the activities of the guild every day. Yechen smiled at Beiji and others. Of course, if you are willing to participate in the assessment in the future and become an elite member, I also welcome you. After the establishment of the guild, the elite group, the gold group, and the logistics team all need to sign a contract, and Yechen has to pay them wages every month. Other large guilds are the same. But these people account for no more than 10% of the entire guild, and most of them are peripheral players. Peripheral players are very free, they can leave when they want to, and they can quit when they want to, but they obviously don't have wages and bonuses. Well, we will try our best to pass the assessment, Beiji and others said cautiously. So far, Yechen has 2 more peripheral forces. On the other side, the Hall of Fame. Xiangzi, are you here for nothing? Are you hanging back together again? I think you are too comfortable as the leader. If you can't do it, Get out of here, Ao Wushuan roared. No, boss, listen to my explanation, Yeshen, that kid actually has the ability to teleport the team. He directly summoned the main team. We can't beat the holy weapon at all. Humph. Ao Wushuan snorted coldly, but didn't curse much. After all, he was also very clear about the strength of Yeshen's main team. Hanging up the voice, Ao Wushuan told Qian Xingtiangxia about this. Damn it! Now everyone knows that the Flame Mountain is the territory of my Hall of Fame. It's okay for Yeshen to grab a boss, but now he takes the main team over. What's the meaning? Qian Xingtiangxia said angrily. A few days ago, the tide receded, and he himself discovered the gap between the Hall of Fame and the myth, but at least it is still a giant. Now Yeshen is not going to rob other guilds, but to rob the territory of the Hall of Fame. For him, this is a challenge to his dignity. If the tiger doesn't show its power, he thinks we are sick cats? Let's go over there and kill them all, Qian Xingtian sneered. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 189. Boss, Yeshen's main force is no worse than ours, and more importantly, they have holy weapons, Ao Wushuan said in a deep voice. Well, you are right. That kid doesn't even have a guild, but he has such a strong main force. In the future, he will definitely be unstoppable in creating a guild. We must kill them in the cradle. Who is Qian Xingtian? He has begun to doubt Yeshen's ambition. It is very likely that he wants to step on them to get to the top. Are you kidding? How can they be stepped on by the Hall of Fame? Hall of Fame Guild Channel, Qian Xingtian, President. All leaders of Huoyan Mountain, listen to the order. Yeshen has already led the main force into the mountain. You temporarily put down the things at hand and cooperate with me to kill them. Qian Xingtian gave an order, and the leaders of Huoyan Mountain hurriedly agreed, including the Gold Group and the Peripheral Group, a total of more than 10 people, that is to say, their Hall of Fame arranged about 500 forces in Huoyan Mountain. At this time, these 500 people took action. And Qian Xingtian also led the main force into Huoyan Mountain. On the other side, Yeshen led the group forward and met the 4 groups of the Hall of Fame near the second boss refresh point in the Flame Mountain. In an instant, the situation became tense. It's Yeshen, fight, the leader of the elite group snorted coldly, and the two sides fought together. The tank turned into a pitch-black werewolf and cast a special magic circle. In an instant, Yeshen and others danced wildly and harvested crazily. A few minutes later, the battle ended. Yeshen and others won with fewer troops. The 2 groups of Beiji lost more than half of their strength, but they wiped out the 4 groups of the other side. 10 minutes after the battle, the 3 elite groups rushed to the Flame Mountain and reported to the 3 leaders, Huo Wu, Uncle Soy Sauce, and Lao Yat. The Hall of Fame has taken action. We will continue to fight back. We will fight as much as we can, so as not to be surrounded by them. Yeshen waved his hand and led the army to continue to advance into the depths of the Flame Mountain. Not long after, they met the Hall of Fame team again, but the other side turned around and ran away when they saw their team, and shouted in the guild channel, "Boss, Yeshen's troops have increased. There are 3 more groups. It's just 3 groups. Anyway, they don't have a guild. When the melee starts, we will have the advantage." Qian Xingtiangxia sneered and added, "You should find a way to reunite now and avoid their sharp edge. When I lead the team over, I will wrap them up." Yes. The group leaders responded and selected a certain coordinate for the groups to reunite. They ran back and should find a way to reunite. "Should we chase them?" Tank asked solemnly. Based on the number of Lord Bosses in the Flame Mountain, it is easy to infer the number of teams behind. There are at least 300 people. Moreover, they have a guild and will not hurt each other in group battles. On Ye Chen's side, there are only about 150 people now. If they really fight, they will not have the advantage at all. Brother Xiang and his team should be back soon, and I am afraid they will bring a few more groups. You go back to block the mountain pass. I will go alone in the back, Ye Chen pondered. At this point, he no longer cared about keeping Xiao Hong as his trump card. Now the arrow was on the string and had to be shot. Hearing this, Huo Wu and others looked at him deeply. Seeing that he looked confident, they nodded in agreement and the army withdrew to the crater. Stealth. Ye Chen hid his figure and chased in the direction where the enemy fled. After chasing for almost 5 minutes, the enemy team suddenly stopped. Humph, it seems that this is the place where they will meet, Ye Chen sneered and decisively summoned Xiao Hong. Chi! With a loud phoenix cry, Xiao Hong flew out, sprayed a tongue of fire at the enemy, and killed a row of enemies in one move. Fire Phoenix? Gold Lord. When did this boss appear in the Flame Mountain? This is not a boss, but Ye Shen's pet. The Fire Phoenix just killed our group members in seconds, and we received a system prompt. Hiss, Ye Shen has a Fire Phoenix pet. Stop arguing. Pets cannot act alone, which means that Ye Shen must be lurking nearby now. A loud roar interrupted the surrounding noise, and then several people opened their blood-red eyes and looked around, and locked Ye Chen's coordinates at once. He came alone, and he simply didn't take us seriously. Hearing this, everyone was immediately enraged. Just as they were about to bombard Ye Chen, Xiao Hong suddenly sprayed flames, burning a sea of fire on the ground. The sea of fire caused extremely high damage. In just a few seconds, more than 20 people were burned to death, and most people were also burned. What a great pet, Gold Group, Outer Group, you hold the Phoenix, we kill Ye Shen, the elite group gave orders and then chased Ye Chen. However, pets are not boss, and are not controlled by the hatred system, but are commanded by their owners. At this time, Ye Chen ordered Xiao Hong to chase the elite group. Kill Phoenix first. The elite group turned around angrily and cooperated with the gold group and the outer group to attack violently. Because they were from the same guild, they had no worries at all. They focused their fire and Xiao Hong screamed and her HP dropped by half. At this time, Xiao Hong was on fire and quickly formed a circular flame shield to surround herself. Possessed by the god of fire, the flame shield helped Xiao Hong absorb a lot of damage and continuously burn the surrounding enemies. The damage was extremely high, and the close-range fighters were burned to death in a few seconds. Ye Chen smiled and quietly touched up, constantly sneaking up. The fire hood has high damage. Everyone, don't get close, the members of the elite group shouted, but if they didn't get close, Xiao Hong would rush over and burn people with the fire hood. Paralysis, a defensive skill, it is used as an output skill. It must be commanded by Ye Shen. Everyone was shocked and complained. 10 seconds later, Xiao Hong's hood disappeared. The fire hood could only absorb most of the damage, but a small part of the damage was still effective. At this moment, it only had a small amount of blood left, but the enemy had already collapsed and most of them died. Burned to ashes. Suddenly, Xiao Hong turned into a flaming bird and rushed out with a scorching air wave. With the sound of a flame explosion, a 5-yard pit appeared on the ground, charred black, and corpses were everywhere around. Can't fight, retreat. In the end, only a few people were left. They were sweating on their faces and crawling away. Xiao Hong, hurry up and recover, Ye Chen said. The next moment, Xiao Hong lay on the ground, and a soft white light flashed all over her body. Add 2200. This is its innate self-recovery. After using it, it can increase the total HP by 10%, but the cooldown time is too long, a full 10 minutes. In addition to this innate skill, Xiao Hong's own recovery ability is amazing. After the battle, HP will soar. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 190. What's going on? Why did more than 100 people die in an instant? Didn't I want you to meet up first and then fight? What's going on with you? Qianxingtiangxia looked at the information on the guild channel. In an instant, someone died. The information rushed upwards, and he suddenly became angry. Boss, we saw that Yeshen was the only one, so we were ready to kill him, but we didn't expect. The leader who had just died in the battle stammered in his explanation on the guild channel, but was instantly interrupted by Qianxingtiangxia's roar, "Asshole! There are more than 100 of you, can't you defeat the night god? Cao Nima, are you still alive? What's the meaning?" "No, boss, he also has a pet, a fire phoenix pet, at the Golden Lord level. Searched Khan on Google." "What?" Hearing this, Qianxingtian's pupils bulged, with a look of shock on his face, and he said solemnly, "That boy Yeshen is really blessed with great luck. He was able to get the favor of God. No wonder he is so arrogant." God's pet, the guild channel was filled with shock. Do you think that boss above the Golden Lord can be caught with a bear trap? It's almost impossible, so his phoenix was obviously hatched from a pet egg. It should still be in its infancy now, and it is already a Golden Lord. It must be it's the bloodline of divine beasts. Qianxingtiangxia explained on the guild channel, getting angrier and angrier as he spoke, saying, "Forget it, let's forget about this for now. The remaining people in the Flame Mountain, please don't be impulsive. After we meet, ignore Yeshen and return to the crater to join me." Flame Mountain, the remaining 8 groups of the Hall of Fame, with more than 200 people, finally reunited. At this time, Xiaohong had almost recovered. Several group leaders stared at Yechen and Xiaohong with gloomy expressions. With a groan, they actually retreated and ran towards the crater. "Humph, you want to run away? It's not that easy." Yechen sneered, and together with Xiaohong, they chased and fought. Both of them dealt high damage, but the other party just ran away and had no ability to resist at all. In a short time, a large number of people were killed. Several group leaders looked at each other with ferocious expressions. Can they bear this? Stop! Stop running away! Let's fight back! I don't believe we can kill him. A regiment leader gave an order, and everyone finally no longer felt aggrieved. They turned around and rushed towards Yechen. At the same time, Xiaohong resolutely stood in front of Yechen and fought against the enemy. "Humph, Yechen is so cunning. It seems we can't kill him without killing the pet. Let's kill the pet first." With that said, the army roared and rushed forward, attacking Xiaohong crazily. There were so many of them that Xiaohong activated the Vulcan possession, but her HP still dropped rapidly. Soon, Xiaohong's HP was exhausted, but it also burned many enemies to death, and then burned them all at once, killing dozens of people. Finally, they lost a third of their troops and killed Xiaohong. "Quick! Kill the night god! Don't let him resurrect his pet," the leader ordered, and immediately several berserkers rushed forward using brutal collision. But at this moment, Yechen used strong invisibility to disappear. A second later, he had sprinted 5 yards away. Then everyone sadly discovered that Yechen had resurrected the fire phoenix. Crater. Qianxingtiangxia rushed over with his main group, Brother Xiang and other 4 groups, but saw Tank and others blocking the door. "I see, Yagamai is alone and wants you to come and guard the door, right?" Qianxingtiangxia snorted coldly, and immediately locked eyes with Huowu. "Huowu, Yeshen is too impulsive. He dares to challenge our Hall of Fame even though he is still young. He is such a reckless man, and you actually follow him willingly." The hearts of Huowu, Tank, and others were tense. They did not expect that Qianxingtiangxia would come with the main force. Seeing that Huo Wu didn't reply, Qian Xingtiangxia hummed, now, Ye Shen has offended Xinyue, and now he is provoking our Hall of Fame. He has collided with the two giants of the light camp. There is no city government for being so impulsive. Huo Wu, do you really think that is he still in the position? It's impossible. So you'd better give up and come to our Hall of Fame. I will never treat you badly. Haha, you fool, we fire dancing beauties can't even look down on myths, so how can we even take a look at your Hall of Fame? Tang sneered. Hearing this, Huo Wu stopped him and said to Qian Xingtiangxia, President Qian, our leader Ye Shen needs to do a task, brush the fire boss, and has no intention of collision. As long as you withdraw your troops from the Flame Mountain, we will not be enemies. Humph, you are stubborn. Even if what you say is true, you are still taking my Hall of Fame territory. This is an axe seeking death. Qian Xingtiangxia waved his hand, and the army behind him charged. In an instant, the two sides were fighting fiercely. Both sides have equal strength and similar strength. The biggest difference is that Tank has a sacred weapon. But Qian Xingtiangxia is not afraid at all, because there are more than 200 reinforcements coming soon. But after waiting for a long time, there was no sign at all. He couldn't help but shout on the guild channel. Who knew that most of the more than 200 reinforcements had been killed in the battle, and the remaining ones were also blocked by Ye Chen? Can you use your brains? I told you not to fight him, but you still want to fight him. Qian Xingtiangxia was so angry that he flew into a rage, but at this moment, the tank opened the Suanwu cover and the special magic circle. The entire main force group received a boost, and they attacked violently in an instant, gaining the advantage. Boss, we have lost, and there will be no results if we continue to fight, Ao Wushuan said solemnly. You still have the nerve to say that? You are the one who manages those elite groups. Look at what they have become now. They don't even listen to me, Qian Xingtiangxia said angrily. Ao Wushuan's eyebrows shrank when he heard this. To be honest, he really can't be blamed for this. The Hall of Fame is not like other guilds. The elites in it are all rich second generations. Because of this, their Hall of Fame rose at an incredible speed. But now, the disadvantages are getting more and more serious. The rich second generations act erratically. Those little B kids get angry, and even their direct superiors, that is, the group leaders, can't stop them. And he himself doesn't have much time to manage, because Qian Xingtiangxia's main group also needs him, and he can't do anything else. Boss, I've been with you for almost 3 years. There is only half a month left in the contract. I'm tired and don't want to renew the contract, Ao Wushuan said suddenly. He is powerful and has made a lot of contributions to the Hall of Fame in the past 3 years. But now, the Hall of Fame is constantly going downhill, and he can no longer see hope. Compared with the Hall of Fame, he is more optimistic about Shenhua. In fact, we also spent a lot of money to recruit him 2 days ago. What? Wushuan, do you know what you are talking about? I treat you well, right? Now at the critical moment, you say this to me. Qian Xingtiangxia was stunned, staring at Ao Wushuan in disbelief, but the latter kept silent. Retreat. Qian Xingtiangxia was so angry that he had no intention of fighting again and ordered a retreat.